There was a time when the earth breathed in silence.
A time when no human called it home. Forests were seas of green, and the seas, oceans of light.
Life flourished everywhere, free, wild, ancient.
It was the Cretaceous period, an era of colossal creatures, so grand they seemed sculpted by the gods.
On land, Triceratops roamed in herds under a sun that knew no winters. In the skies, huge pterosaurs cut through the air like living sails. In the seas, monsters with fins and teeth reigned over silent abysses. And among them, on land, the undisputed king.
The Tyrannosaurus rex. 2 tons of muscle, claws, fangs, and an ancient instinct as old as the earth.
It was a perfect world in its ferocity. Every creature had a role, every beat a meaning.
Herbivores fed on the immense ferns and conifers that covered entire continents.
Carnivores hunted at dawn, when light colored the blood and dew.
It was balance. It was life. It was pure power. Yet, even in that harmony, destiny was preparing.
None of those beings knew that every step, every breath, every glance would be the last of a world.
Above them, far away, in the darkness of space, something was changing.
A fragment of rock, born from the collision of ancient celestial bodies, had begun a journey. A journey that lasted millions of years. It crossed the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Silent, invisible, inevitable. And Earth, unaware, continued to rotate, cradled by its blue sky.
Seasons flowed slowly. Mountains grew. Oceans shifted. It was a living planet, but vulnerable. And in that immensity, it only took a single grain of space to change everything.
That grain was coming, and no one could stop it. Under that blue sky, the Earth seethed with energy. Volcanoes erupted along chains of fire. Rivers of lava drew new continents. Every tremor, every explosion was a breath of the planet. A world in continuous change, where life adapted, grew, multiplied.
On the great northern plains and in the wide valleys at the foot of the mountains, herds of ankylosaurs advanced slowly and heavily.
Their bony armor shimmering in the sunlight like living shields.
Further south, herds of hadrosaurs crossed the rivers. Their calls echoed through the valleys like ancient songs.
In the swamps, small Compsognathus moved in groups, quick and curious.
While among the ferns, more agile predators hid in wait. In the forests, new species of plants flourished as never before. Insects carried pollen among ancient flowers. And in the sky, wing beats echoed that had not yet known fear. The microraptor, with dark, shiny feathers, glided among the trees.
While the sun filtered through the foliage like liquid light.
And beneath the roots, tiny mammals lived in the shadows, watchful, wary, but all.
Everything worked. Everything lived.
That world was so perfect that only an apocalyptic end could match it. The asteroid, after millions of kilometers, had entered Earth's vicinity. It entered its gravitational field and accelerated. It passed the moon's orbit.
The trajectory tilted towards the atmosphere. In front of it, the air began to compress and heat up. The surface became incandescent.
From Earth, a continuous trail appeared, brighter and brighter. Only a few moments remained before entering the denser layers. Then, it became a fire. A fiery globe that grew by the minute, launched at over 70,000 kilometers per hour. Then, a body.
Its target, the Yucatan Peninsula in present-day Mexico, where the sea bends to form a...
And then it hit. Within a radius of thousands of kilometers, nothing survived. A shockwave ran across the entire planet. Trees bent and then disappeared, burned instantly. The air itself became flame.
In the sea, a wave over a kilometer high was born. Shards of rock and metal were hurled to the ends of the world.
The tsunami crossed the oceans, sweeping distant coasts for thousands of kilometers. The planet transformed into a scream.
But it wasn't over.
From the sky, fragments of light began to fall. They were rocks hurled by the impact.
Small stars that fell by the thousands, illuminating the newly born darkness.
First, there were isolated flashes. Then, a continuous, incessant rain.
Day and night merged into a single inferno.
After the impact, the Earth was no longer the same. Sunlight no longer filtered. The sky, once blue, had become a wound of smoke and flame. The rain of incandescent rocks continued for hours, then for days. Every fragment that touched the ground ignited new fires, new firestorms. Forests disappeared in a single breath. Oceans boiled, raising poisonous vapors. Animals sought refuge, but there was no longer a refuge.
The air was fire. The ground was glass.
On the surface, the temperature exceeded 1,000 degrees. The entire planet turned into a furnace.
Even the rocks deformed, flowing like wax.
Flames ran beyond the horizon, fueled by wind and pain. The largest dinosaurs collapsed, suffocated by the heat. Rivers evaporated. Clouds disappeared.
Only the sound of earthquakes accompanied the silence of destruction.
The earth trembled ceaselessly, as if trying to free itself from the weight of its own destiny. The crater remained hidden beneath the sea, but the scar was now etched forever in the earth. The shockwaves circled the world many times, reflecting between oceans and mountains. Every vibration erased something.
A forest, lake, a breath. In a few hours, entire ecosystems disappeared.
The day turned black, and in the darkness, ash fell. A fine, dense dust that covered everything. It settled on the seas, on bodies, on mountains, on the open eyes of giants. It was the dust of the end.
Yet, even as everything burned, something survived.
Underground, in rivers, in burrows, small lives resisted. Insects, amphibians, mammals. Forgotten creatures that no one had ever looked at.
They hid in the mud, in the trunks, in the holes between the rocks.
And in that darkness, the future began to form. The dust, raised by the impact, remained suspended in the atmosphere for months, then for years.
Day and night merged. The entire world plunged into an eternal twilight.
Temperatures plummeted. The planet's heat dissipated into space.
The wind carried ashes, sulfur, death.
Photosynthesis stopped. Plants, without light, began to die one by one. Herbivores found nothing left to eat. And when they fell, the predators followed them too. The Tyrannosaurus rex, who once dominated the lands, roamed among the charred trees in search of something to devour. The Triceratops, once majestic in herds, were now alone, slow, tired.
In the sea, algae disappeared. Food chains collapsed. Even the ancient sea monsters disappeared.
And so, one by one, the giants vanished. Not in a day, but in a slow, merciless time.
Every species left a last step, a last breath, a last glance.
The Earth, once full of life, now breathed only ash. But under that gray blanket, something still moved.
There, in the darkness, beat the first heart of the future.
Years passed, then decades. The dust began to settle slowly. The sun
a world waiting to begin again. And if you too believe that the memory of the world should not be forgotten,